Once upon a time, in a small and quiet town, there lived a young man named Ethan. Life had not been kind to him. He was raised in a poor family, and though he worked hard every day, it seemed like nothing ever went his way. Ethan was always determined to change his fate, but the world kept throwing challenges his way. His girlfriend, Rachel, was his only ray of hope. They had been together since high school, and she used to tell him, "One day we'll make it big, Ethan. We'll leave this small town behind and live the life we've always dreamed of." But things didn't go as planned. Ethan lost his job at the local factory when it shut down, and his life began to spiral downward. Without a steady income, he couldn't pay the rent on his small, run-down apartment, and debt started piling up. He sold everything he could just to survive, and before long, he had nothing left. One evening, as the cold wind blew through the empty streets of the town, Rachel sat Ethan down in their tiny living room. Her face was pale, and her eyes were distant. "Ethan," she began, her voice trembling, "I can't do this anymore. You know I love you, but I can't live like this. I need stability. I need someone who can take care of me." Ethan's heart sank. He had feared this moment for weeks, ever since he had lost his job and watched the last of his savings vanish. "You're leaving me?" he asked, his voice filled with disbelief. Rachel avoided his gaze. "I've met someone else," she admitted. "He has a good job. He can give me the life I need, the life I deserve." Ethan felt as if the ground had fallen out from beneath him. He had loved Rachel with all his heart, and now, in his darkest hour, she was leaving him for someone with more money, someone who could offer her the material comforts he couldn't. "I hope you understand," she said as she stood up, grabbing her bag and walking to the door. Ethan didn't stop her. What could he say? He was devastated but too proud to beg her to stay. As the door clicked shut behind her, Ethan sat in the silence, feeling more alone than he ever had in his life. Rachel wasn't the only one to abandon him. His friends, too, slowly drifted away. They stopped inviting him to social gatherings, stopped answering his calls, and soon, Ethan found himself completely isolated. Even his family, who had always been there for him, grew distant. They were tired of helping him out, tired of his constant struggles. For a time, Ethan considered giving up. He could barely afford food, let alone find a new job in a town where opportunities were scarce. Every day felt like an uphill battle, and he was losing the strength to keep fighting. But there was something deep inside Ethan that wouldn't let him quit. A small spark of hope, buried beneath the weight of his hardships, kept flickering. He remembered the dreams he had once shared with Rachel, the dreams of becoming something more, of rising above the circumstances that had held him down for so long. "I won't be defeated," Ethan whispered to himself one night, staring at the ceiling of his small, cold room. With renewed determination, Ethan started taking odd jobs around town. He worked as a handyman, fixing broken appliances and painting fences. The pay was minimal, but it was enough to keep him afloat. He started reading books about business and self-improvement in his spare time, hoping to learn the skills that could help him climb out of poverty. One day, while working at a local cafe to earn a few extra bucks, Ethan overheard a conversation between two businessmen sitting at a nearby table. They were discussing a new business venture, an investment opportunity in the tech industry that had the potential to grow rapidly. Ethan listened intently, intrigued by the possibilities. He didn't have the money to invest, but he had time, energy, and ideas. After mustering up the courage, Ethan approached the two men as they were getting ready to leave. "Excuse me," he said nervously. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. I'm Ethan, and I've been looking for an opportunity like the one you were discussing. I may not have the capital to invest, but I'm willing to work hard and offer my ideas. I've been learning a lot about the tech industry and—" One of the men interrupted, giving Ethan a skeptical look. "You don't have the money, but you want in?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, but I can offer my time and my knowledge. I know I can help make this venture a success." The other man, older and with a kind face, smiled slightly. "What do you know about running a business?" he asked, curious but doubtful. "I may not have experience," Ethan admitted, "but I have nothing to lose, and I'm willing to give everything I have. I can learn fast and I won't let you down." The older man, intrigued by Ethan's determination, exchanged a glance with his business partner. "Tell you what," he said, "we're taking a risk with this venture ourselves. There's no guarantee it will succeed, but if you're willing to work hard and prove yourself, we'll give you a chance." And so, Ethan was brought on board. At first, the work was tough, and the learning curve steep. He had to teach himself the ins and outs of running a business, all while working long hours without a steady paycheck. But Ethan didn't complain. He was finally doing something that mattered, something that had the potential to change his life. Months turned into years, and slowly but surely, the business began to grow. Ethan's contributions became invaluable. His hard work, combined with the knowledge he had gained, helped the company reach new heights. Eventually, the business started turning a profit, and Ethan's role within the company expanded. He was no longer the struggling man who had nothing. He was now a key player in a rapidly growing enterprise. Before long, the company became one of the most successful tech firms in the city. Ethan's wealth grew exponentially, and soon he was living a life far beyond anything he had ever imagined. He bought a beautiful house in the city's most exclusive neighborhood, drove a sleek car, and wore designer suits. But despite all his success, Ethan never forgot where he had come from. He remembered the pain of being left behind, the loneliness of having no one to turn to, and the nights he went to bed hungry. One evening, as Ethan sat in his luxurious living room, sipping a glass of wine, there was a knock at the door. When he opened it, he was stunned to see Rachel standing there. She looked just as beautiful as she had all those years ago, but her expression was different, softer, more regretful. "Ethan," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I heard about your success. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have left you. Can we start over?" For a moment, Ethan felt a pang of the old feelings he had once had for her. There had been a time when he would have done anything to win her back. But that time had passed. He had grown stronger, wiser. He had built his life from the ground up without her, and he no longer needed her validation. "I appreciate you coming here, Rachel," Ethan said calmly. "But the truth is, I've moved on. I'm not the man I used to be, and I don't need to look back." Rachel's eyes filled with tears, but Ethan remained firm. He had learned that the people who left you when you were down didn't deserve to be part of your success. Not long after that, Ethan's old friends began to resurface. They heard about his success and suddenly wanted to be part of his life again. They invited him to fancy dinners, sent him messages, and tried to rekindle the friendships they had once abandoned. But Ethan saw through their intentions. One evening, while sitting at a cafe with one of his old friends, Ethan asked a question that had been on his mind for a long time. "Where were you when I needed you the most?" His friend, caught off guard, stammered, searching for an excuse. But Ethan didn't need to hear it. He had learned a valuable lesson. True friends don't abandon you when life gets tough. As the years went by, Ethan's success only grew. He became the richest man in the city, respected and admired by many. But wealth and power had not changed him. He remained grounded, never forgetting the struggles that had shaped him into the man he had become. One day, as Ethan stood in the window of his office building, overlooking the bustling city below, he reflected on his journey. He had gone from being a poor, broken man to a self-made success story. But more importantly, he had discovered his own strength along the way. He had learned that true success wasn't measured by money or possessions. It was about resilience, determination, and staying true to oneself no matter what life throws at you. As he looked out over the city, Ethan felt a sense of peace. He had built an empire, but more importantly, he had built a life filled with purpose, wisdom, and a deep understanding of what truly mattered. And though many had tried to come back into his life after his rise to success, Ethan knew that the time had changed everything. He had moved on, grown stronger, and learned that those who stand by you in your darkest moments are the ones who deserve to share in your brightest ones.